Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, and today I'd like to take a look at a oldie but a goodie. This is called Wasabi. I think now it's been reprinted and it's called Sushi with an exclamation mark or something to that effect. It's been put out by Z-Man Games, and it's a really neat game where each player is taking on the persona of an apprentice sushi chef. Try saying that 5 times fast, y'all. Anyway, you're all vying for honors to be the best sushi chef out there, and of course you're wanting to make your master proud, and you're trying to get basically stepping out of the thematics a little bit here, you're trying to get the most points to be able to declare yourself the best apprentice of all. And so how does it work? How does it play? Let me show you. Here I have a 2-player version of Wasabi set up for you and ready to go. First of all, you have all of the ingredients over here set apart into their different groups denoted by the background colors. You have the wasabi cubes, which generally are going to be simply representing 1 point at the end of the game. Then you also have the menu cards, which are here. These have 5 ingredients, 4, 3, and 2 ingredients on them. These are easier to finish, of course. These are more difficult. These are challenge tokens. Each player starts with 10. One of the winning conditions of the game is to have all 10 of your challenge tokens assigned to finished recipes. So that's one way to do it. The other way to have the game completed is by having all of the squares on the board completely filled up with something, whether it is a wasabi card, which at some point during the game may get placed on there covering up 4, or actually having ingredients in each of the different squares on the board. To begin the game, and this is one of the cool things that I like about it, you will take 3 ingredients of your choice, and instead of keeping them for yourself, you actually give them to your opponent, or in a 2-player game, your opponent. In a 3 or 4-player game, you would actually give it to the player to your left. So that's an interesting thing about it. So to begin the game, I'm going to start with clam, daikon, and roe. Now, there is a caveat being here. Those beginning hands cannot have maki, rice, or any of the unique ingredients that are down here at the bottom. So octopus, urchin, blowfish, oyster, squid, maki, and rice cannot be given for starting hands. So I would give this to my opponent, and then my opponent would choose 3 for me. I'm going to go with these guys and eel. Then each player will have the opportunity to choose 3 starting recipes. They can be of any length. So I will go ahead and choose a 2, a 3, and a 4 to begin with. And then those would be placed inside your menu holder like so, in any order necessary. The order that they're placed in here does not matter because you can complete them any at all at one time, and then this is placed back up. On your turn, you must play one of your ingredient tiles onto the board. You must do that. And then you may also play an action card if you have one in your hand. You can never have more than 2 action cards in your hand, and you can only play 1 action card per turn. So those are things that you have to keep in mind. But the first thing that you must do is you must play an ingredient from your hand onto the board. And this is where looking at your recipes and knowing what are necessary for each of them is very important. I will take avocado and place it right here in the corner. I'll place it face up for you guys. And now if I had any action cards, I would be able to place into my hand, play an action card and do its abilities. But since I don't have any action cards, the next thing I do is I prepare for my next turn. Preparing for your next turn is, first of all, if I had finished a menu or a recipe, I would be able to take 1 action card for next turn. to be able to be used on next turn rather. Then I would also draw an ingredient tile if I have less than 3. So I started with 3. I only have 2 left now because I played 1. Now I draw another. So we'll go ahead and go with maki, and we'll add that to my stash here. Then if I did finish a recipe and I have less than 3 recipes in my menu, then I would be able to take another recipe from the board of any length and add it to my menu book. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clam and place it right here. When you play an ingredient tile onto the board, it can be on any unoccupied space. It does not have to be adjacent to another one that you've already played or anything like that. It can be on any unoccupied space, unless of course you're using the stack card, which allows you to place onto a space that already has an ingredient. Okay, so I place my clam. I don't have any action cards to play, so I do have less than 3 ingredients, so I want to refill my ingredients. So I will also take a maki and place it there. And then I didn't finish any of my menus, so now it is time for the X, so I don't need to draw anymore, and now it's time for my opponent to go once again. Now, we are being very nice to each other. We're not really interfering with each other at all in our placement of the boards, but you could. Just realize that in taking a turn to play on your opponent's area, you're then taking away from being able to play on your area. So there is a level of interaction there that can be had, but it could be counterintuitive if you do indeed choose to engage in that. So keep that in mind. And my opponent plays tempura right there, which allows them to finish this recipe, Death by Shellfish. And I have maki, oyster, clam, scallop, and tempura all in a row. So I was able to finish my 5 with style. So the recipe comes out here. I grab 3 wasabi cubes because that's a reward. Flip it over, and now that is 8, 9, 10, 11 points that are locked in for the end of the game. On my turn, I'm going to play stack, which allows me to play my ingredient for this turn on a space that is already occupied, and I'm going to place it right here on top of the shrimp. Now doing so allows me to finish one of my recipes because I have the maki and daikon. So I'm able to play that down here, take one of my 2s and flip it over, and now it's locked in. Now I have the opportunity to take an action card. The only caveat being is that you cannot take an action card of the same type that you played that round unless it's the only one available. Since it's not the only one available, we're going to go ahead and take the wasabi card because we want to have that control. And the game we continue in this fashion until one of the 2 in-game conditions are met. The first one being that all 10 of one of the player's challenge tokens have been placed, or all of the spaces on the board are filled with either ingredients or wasabi cards. And at the end of that, points are totaled. First of all, the number of points that you got from finished recipes, plus any points that you get from wasabi cubes, and whoever has the highest total wins. If there is a tie for the highest total, the person that has the most wasabi cubes between those people tied is the actual winner. So that is Wasabi. It's a neat little game, something that I normally probably wouldn't like. It's kind of abstract-y, but it does have a catchy theme. I do enjoy watching stuff like cooking shows and that type of stuff. I enjoy cooking a little bit as well. I'm not that great at it, but I do enjoy it. So the theme kind of grabbed onto me a little bit, and it wasn't childish or hokey or anything like that. It had a little bit of elegance to it, and that's why it kind of pulled me in, because there are other games that are out there that do the same thing with the sushi thing, but they go cartoony or just kind of childish with the whole theme, and that kind of turns me off. This retained a little bit of elegance, and that's why I enjoy Wasabi for the theme in and of itself. Now, there are other things. Components, first of all, are pretty good. I mean, these tokens, these ingredient tiles and stuff like that, they're nice quality, nice and thick, and they won't get damaged too easily. I loved the Wasabi cubes. So Wasabi cubes were so cool. I love the color of them. They just match Wasabi color perfectly. And then when you put it together with the actual bowls that it comes with, knocked it out of the park. Loved that. The screens were also pretty cool. While they were kind of flimsy and they fall down pretty easy if there's any kind of ceiling fan or anything like that, I did like how they made them to look like menus, and they have all of the different names of the different recipes that are in there. These little slots for the recipes were really neat. Just a very cool thing to have in the game. I wish they would have been a little bit less flimsy, but cool nonetheless. The gameplay is, what you would expect from any other kind of Carcassonne type tile laying game, where there's a little bit of a give and a take. You can kind of have these secret alliances where, okay, you stay over there and I'll stay over here and we won't mess with each other. Or you can just go cutthroat and try to mess other people up as much as possible. The more people that are placing things on the board, the more crowded the board's going to get quicker. So there's less turtling in that aspect, because you'll have people playing in your area almost, within 2 or 3 rounds within the game. It actually goes that quick, and it gets bunched up that fast. So that's one of the things that I liked about it as well. You could not just kind of stay back. 2 players is probably, I wouldn't play this very often with 2 players. 3 or 4 for me is where it shines, because while you have that extra row or the extra 2 rows with 4 players, it really does constrict what you can and cannot do, and the level of interaction goes up once you hit those higher number of players. So I do enjoy Wasabi for its strategic quality, but I also enjoy it for its take that quality as well, because those action cards can really hurt and hinder other people, while at the same time really help you out a lot. So those are the things that I like about Wasabi. This is a game that largely, I think, has lost some of its steam in the last few years. Used to be really popular. I did see a few people playing it at Dice Tower Con this past year, so that was a cool thing. I actually stopped and said hi to them and watched them play for just a couple of turns there. But generally, I think this is lost, and that's unfortunate, because I think it's a really cool game with a really neat theme, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. So that's that. My final thoughts is I'm going to give this 1.5 thumbs up, and that's because it's simply not my normal kind of game, but I do enjoy it when we do play it. So 1.5 thumbs up from me. That's my final thoughts. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.